Hello there, World of Tankers. Welcome to the channel. Hopefully all of you are doing well out there. I'm, of course, your host, Blitz, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about the Tier 10 Chinese tank destroyer, the WZ-113G FT. Have you been ordering a lot of Amazon packages lately? Well, this vehicle fits all. You can put slippers, shoes, or even a new flat-screen TV in here. Yeah, this thing is a very large box, and while it may not look as the most appealing Tier 10 in the game, I can definitely tell you that it is an extremely strong tank if it is played in the correct scenarios. Not only does this tank have a very good gun mounted for it, very similar to the Object 268 with the standard penetration at 305, and the premium at 413 is enough to rip through enemy armor, even in IS-4 angling. Yeah, no problem whatsoever. It's got very nice alpha at 640 and decent gun depression at 6 degrees. It's actually a very flexible tank for what it is. The DPM could be a little bit better at 2791, but the thing that makes up for the DPM is the very good mobility. It only goes 38 kilometers per hour forward. That's not the best, but the top speed with the effective power to weight ratio is fantastic. A vehicle like the Object 268, you'll probably notice if you own one, takes a little bit of time to accelerate. In fact, it can be one of the slower tank destroyers in acceleration. The WZ easily gets right up to top speed, which makes it very flexible on traverse, getting into position. It's got about 44 degrees a second of traverse speed, making it very nimble when medium tanks and lights are trying to get to the side of it. But I can definitely tell you, if a tank gets the side of you, it's very, very easy to shoot it because it is this big old box. So today's video, I wanted to break into the WZ and talk about why so little people grind this line, because it really is a great tank. In fact, when I first started playing this vehicle, it was probably my favorite tank destroyer in the game, especially after Wargaming got rid of the 640 Alpha gun on the Foch. This thing was just my new Foch. It might not be as fast, but it has a very similar armor profile, about 350-ish millimeters of armor on that upper part, which is very, very impressive, of course. So I'm going to push quite aggressive right off the bat. We got the IS-4 right off to the side over here, and I'm going to aim right in on his lower plate. There you go. Nice trade. It was a little bit of a weak trade for us, but nonetheless, we still got a very nice shell out. As you can see, that was an 800 bounce. Now, what does 800 damage? That would be a Jagdpanzer E100. As I said, this thing does actually sport decent armor going for it, enough to bounce standard shells, which is very, very impressive. Now, I gotta be careful here, because I don't necessarily know where all the enemy tanks are. We got vehicles like the E100 off to the side, and I can't really spot them where I'm currently sitting, although we do have the IS-4, and let's yeet a shell, boom, 663, right into his lower plate. That's already 1200 damage on our pallet, ready for the ringing, and that's just what makes this tank so nice, is the ability to get out such easy shots. You saw that shell just went right where I aimed, and that's what's great, is it is quite accurate for such a large caliber, a 152, I think it is. It could be a 155, but it's not too much of a difference there. We also got the WT off to the side right here, and as much as I would love to get a shell in, my grill is blocking me right now. So let's get a nice HE right into the WT, finishing him off, and that is, of course, our third big ol' alpha shell so far, and we're riding quite happy on the damage train. Now, we're going to put on our adrenaline here, because I want to try and snap this E100 if he's going to poke this. Let's go up and yeet! There you go, E100 taken out. Pretty good stuff so far from this vehicle, if I do say so myself. Now, it looks like the Emil 2 is going to have a quick and not so good demise from the enemy tanks, but with that, we got the Jagdtiger poking his entire hull out. Oh, it went high. That's unfortunate. You'll notice I do have reticle calibration on this vehicle, which gives me an insanely accurate gun if I use it correctly, but I definitely got to use it correctly, and that's exactly what we're going to do right now, is we're going to put on our reticle calibration, aim right in on that lower plate, and boom, another 696 hit points off of that IS-4 skilled. Yeah, he's not looking too skilled once he goes up against this gun. Now, we do got the Jagdtiger sitting right there, but not too worried, because we're just going to plop around this corner, and boom, off with another shell. We still got a reticle calibration on, and this is a very, very solid game for the WZ. As you can see, maybe not the most damage. You know, we're not sitting, a ridiculously high amount of damage, but we are still doing pretty solid as it is. Let's not get the final shell, I guess, in there, but very solid. 3,600 damage for one simple game. Not too bad. Now, what makes people not want to grind this line? Well, my personal opinion is the Object 268. People just think that the Object 268 is a better version of this vehicle. And while I definitely agree that the 268 can do a lot of things this vehicle it can't. It's got a higher top speed, goes 50, so it can reposition quicker, although it does have a way worse power to weight ratio. The 268 also has one more degree of gun depression and a little bit more gun arc, but the thing that it doesn't have, first of all, is the reticle calibration. This makes it so nice on the aiming time. Minus 40% aiming time and dispersion makes this thing one of the most accurate vehicles out there on the battlefield. You saw that as soon as I put it on, pretty much aiming at that IS-4's lower plate, or the Jagdpanzer, or the Jagdtiger, Tiger that was no problem whatsoever. In fact, if you also want to run reactive armor, it takes away 20% of any damage shooting at you, which is also great. That means that you can push this thing quite aggressive and get away with it compared to other vehicles. Now, I personally don't do that because I run this thing like a tank destroyer, but it can be both ways. This thing's kind of like an E3 combined with a Foch. It's slow, but it's also got great armor. It's got a good gun, and it's got a quick reload, but as well, it does have some drawbacks like the big sides. But the greatest thing I always say about this vehicle is just the ability to snapshots. Having that reticle calibration and yeeting somebody's hit points right out of the beginning is something that's so nice, especially that this tank is the least played tier 10 tank destroyer in the game. Means that a lot of people don't really know the armor profile because you don't go up against it that much. So it is a very, very strong tank in certain areas. But we're going to do just what we did last game, hopefully breaking that 3,000 damage barrier and coming out with a victory. What are we up against? We got the Chieftain Mark 6 FV-215B183, a very deadly vehicle. I hate going up against those, especially in this, because it is very boxy, and if you make the wrong move, it can be very, very quick demise. Now, you can see, again, right up to the top speed of 38 kilometers per hour, not too bad at all, and if we are able to get into this bush quick enough, we might be able to get a snap into the enemy, but we did get spotted, which is not great. So, there's the Sheridan being detected on the enemy team. Not much I'm going to be able to do to him. We've also got vehicles like the Mark 6 off to the side over here. You'll see that while this tank is kind of a big boxy design, it's not the largest of vehicles. It's actually quite a small profile. So we're going to aim in right on that Chieftain Mark 6. Boom, there he goes. 700 damage, and let's back up quickly. Oh, as I said, 183s can be very deadly against this vehicle, and that was a 183 aiming right in on my tank. So, yeah, not too fancy there. I don't like that. We're going to not hopefully have that happen again. Let's aim in. Okay, well, there you go. That's a zinger. WZ-113 ammo racking the poor enemy there. Oh, gee. There's that 183 aiming at me once again. I knew he was going to be aiming for me. I just knew it. So that's pretty good that we were able to foreshadow that. And maybe we'll be able to get a shell into the side of the IS-7. Maybe not. I don't know what he's planning on doing right there. But we've got a lot of vehicles on the enemy team. There's the Chieftain. Once again, let's get a big old slam into him and back up quickly before that 183 is able to get to us. This tank actually has a very nice reverse speed of 16 kilometers per hour. That's fantastic. That means that you're able to reverse really nice into position. You don't have to really worry about enemy opponents that all much. Now we got the 183 poking his frontal armor. There you go. Nice snap into him and back in the cover. Oh, did get a snap into me, but hopefully the Nidhogg over here will get a nice shell into the 183, especially with us out reloading him. We should be able to get maybe another shell into him, but I also don't want to poke this. You know what? Not too bad. Our team's getting out big old shells into him. Let's put on our reticle calibration here just to make sure we can penetrate that grill 15. And again, a very solid game. We, of course, are sitting at 4,000 damage because of that wonderful ammo rack, but I can't complain. Any ammo rack is an ammo rack I will take greatly. Let's aim at an HE on this Mark 6. There you go. Finishing him off. That is the WZ. As you can see, an extremely strong tank. It's got good armor, enough to bounce shells. As you can see, premium shells will cut through the upper plate, but nonetheless, 4,482 damage is a very strong amount, and I can definitely suggest that this is a tank that I would highly recommend anybody to grind. A lot of people really don't think much of the line, but when you think about it, right, the 268 line, it can be very, very tricky. The SU-152 is great, but when you're at the Object 704, especially if you're newer to the game, the issue is it's such a long grind to make your way to the WZ-113G FT. I think the Object 268 is what, like 350,000 experience. Why would you spend all that time going for the Object 704 when you can actually grind a really exciting line? The T-34-2 GFT, I absolutely love this thing. It's got great DPM, a very nice gun, good penetration. You move your way to the WZ-111. Its HE is actually the highest for a 460 alpha, 12.8 or 130. It's got 660 HE alpha, which is insane. And then you make your way to the WZ-111 GFT. Now this vehicle, while it looks not necessarily the best, I love this thing. My average damage is through the roof on it at 2,700. It's not the highest, but for me playing this tank a lot, it really is such a strong vehicle. It's able to not only slap enemy opponents, as you can see, carrying 305 millimeters of standard pen. Woo! That's going to cut through any tier 8 armor. Not only that, it's got very, very good frontal armor. In fact, about the same as the tier 10, which gives it really strong bounces. If you've ever gone up against this tank, you know just how hard it is to penetrate. It's really, really tricky. So hopefully you enjoyed today's video. If I maybe caused you to go down this line, please let me know if you do enjoy it in the future, but hopefully you enjoyed today's video. As always, if you want to see more like it, please consider smashing that subscribe button down below. But other than that, hopefully I'll be seeing you in the next one.